What happens when a thriving empire meets an unstoppable force? The story of the Aztec Empire's fall is one of ambition, betrayal, and ultimate tragedy. But it's also one of resilience and the beginning of a cultural legacy that survives to this day. The Aztec Empire, at its height in the early 16th century, ruled over much of central Mexico. With grand cities like Tenochtitlan, advanced engineering, and rich traditions, the Aztecs were a force to be reckoned with. But in just a few short years, this mighty civilization would be brought to its knees. How? Through a combination of Spanish conquest, native alliances, and devastating diseases. This is the story of the Aztec Empire's dramatic fall and the lessons it teaches us about the collision of worlds, the rise of the Aztec Empire. Imagine a city built on a lake, shimmering with temples and bustling markets. Tenochtitlan, the Aztec capital, was a masterpiece of engineering and culture. Founded in 1325, the Aztecs rose from humble beginnings as nomadic people to establish one of the most powerful empires in Mesoamerica. Their success came from strategic alliances, military prowess, and their ability to adapt and innovate. By the early 1500s, they controlled a vast territory and had a population of over 200,000 in Tenochtitlan alone, making it one of the largest cities in the world at the time. The arrival of the Spanish. In 1519, a Spanish expedition led by Hernán Cortés landed on the shores of Mexico. Cortés and his men were in search of gold, glory, and new territories for Spain. But what they found was a thriving empire they could barely comprehend. The Aztecs, led by their emperor Moctezuma II, initially viewed the Spaniards with a mix of curiosity and caution. Some even believed Cortés might be the god Quetzalcoatl, returning as prophesied. This misunderstanding would play a crucial role in the events to come. Cortés forms alliances. Cortés quickly realized he couldn't conquer the Aztecs alone. He began forming alliances with indigenous groups who had long resented Aztec rule. Tribes like the Tlaxcalans joined forces with the Spaniards, providing soldiers and invaluable knowledge of the land. These alliances shifted the balance of power. The Aztecs, who had dominated the region for decades, suddenly found themselves surrounded by enemies. The march to Tenochtitlan. With his newfound allies, Cortés marched toward Tenochtitlan. The journey was fraught with challenges, but the Spaniards were awestruck when they finally reached the city. Built on an island in Lake Texcoco, Tenochtitlan was connected to the mainland by causeways and dotted with towering pyramids. Moctezuma welcomed Cortés into the city, offering gifts of gold. But this act of diplomacy only fueled the Spaniards' greed. Tensions rise. As Cortés and his men stayed in Tenochtitlan, tensions between the Spanish and the Aztecs began to escalate. The Spaniards' disrespect for Aztec religious practices and their insatiable hunger for gold caused friction. Things came to a head when the Spanish massacred Aztec nobles during a religious ceremony. Outraged, the people of Tenochtitlan rose up, and Moctezuma's authority began to crumble. The Noche Triste, Night of Sorrows. In 1520, the situation exploded. The Spaniards, now seen as enemies, tried to escape the city under the cover of night, but the Aztecs ambushed them as they fled across the causeways. Many Spaniards and their allies were killed in what became known as the Noche Triste, or the Night of Sorrows. Cortés and a handful of his men managed to escape, but their defeat was humiliating. However, Cortés was not one to give up easily. The siege of Tenochtitlan begins. After regrouping, Cortés launched a full-scale attack on Tenochtitlan. With the help of his indigenous allies and advanced weaponry, including cannons, the Spaniards laid siege to the city. The Aztecs fought valiantly, but they faced an enemy they couldn't see: smallpox. The disease brought by the Spaniards spread rapidly through the population, killing thousands and weakening the empire's ability to resist. The role of smallpox. Smallpox devastated the Aztecs in ways that no weapon could. With no immunity to the disease, entire communities were wiped out. The Emperor Cuitlahuac, who had succeeded Moctezuma, also fell victim to the plague. This biological assault played a significant role in tipping the balance of power in favor of the Spaniards. The final assault. In 1521, after months of siege, the Spaniards launched their final assault on Tenochtitlan. The city, once a beacon of strength and culture, was reduced to rubble. The Aztec warriors fought bravely, but they were outmatched by Spanish technology and the sheer number of allied forces. On August 13, 1521, the last Aztec emperor, Cuauhtémoc, was captured, marking the end of the Aztec Empire. The aftermath. With the fall of Tenochtitlan, the Spaniards began building Mexico City on its ruins. The Aztec temples were destroyed, and their culture suppressed. However, the fusion of Spanish and indigenous traditions gave rise to a new, rich cultural identity, the legacy of the Aztecs. While the Aztec Empire fell, its legacy endures. Their advancements in agriculture, architecture, and art continue to inspire. Even the modern Mexican flag features an eagle and a serpent, a nod to the Aztecs' founding legend. Lessons from history. The fall of the Aztecs reminds us of the complexities of history. It's a story of resilience and survival, even in the face of unimaginable loss. It also highlights the consequences of cultural clashes and the enduring impact of colonization. The fall of the Aztec Empire wasn't just the end of a civilization. It was the beginning of a new era. Through tragedy came transformation, and the echoes of the Aztecs can still be heard in the vibrant culture of Mexico today. If you found this story fascinating, watch our next video to learn about the Mayan civilization.